We're going to be talking Helldivers. I have some stickers on here. None of them are Talk About Tatooine stickers, and I think that's a travesty. So I'm hopefully this week going to go onto our own Etsy page and buy myself a bunch of stickers because I really like the designs we make.
Wow, I did not like the own face I made back into myself. So I made my face over here, and then I see it in Twitch pop up over here. I'm like, ugh, gross. But yeah, super excited.
He's got the ugly.
Did you post that we are live?
On socials?
Yes.
Not yet. I posted about it earlier, but let me do that right now.
I just threw something into Discord.
Sure thing. Twitter.
Gotta
Threads.
tell the people where we're at.
Twitter doesn't think I'm logged in.
Also, really funny. Elon Musk tweeted earlier, I think it was today or it was yesterday. It's his app, so I mean, who knows? It could be from like a month ago. But it was like the whole Twitter versus X conversation. Like, who still calls it Twitter? And I wanted to be like, I'll always call it Twitter. Fuck you. But I was like, nah, he'll take that to heart and he'll ban us from the platform.
Yeah, he's super petty. Don't anger him.
Yeah. Don't let the billionaires get mad at you because they don't know how to regulate their emotions because they're not real people.
Okay. Threads does not think I'm logged in. Neither did Twitter. Yes. Even though I'm logged in on Instagram. Whatevs.
Do you want me to
post
a thread?
I got it.
Oh, you're just struggling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are live. Post about it on Facebook. Every time I post on Facebook, I'm kind of selling my soul. It's disgusting. Did my phone? My phone died. Okay.
Don't worry about it yet. I think we should get into the episode.
Yes, we should. Let's get into it, shall we?
Excellent.
So, in my research into our next episode, which is going to be episode 73, we're filming right now episode 72. We went deep down the X-Men rabbit hole, reading tons and tons of wiki articles and watching the original cartoons, the new cartoons. So there's a point in the original cartoon, season 1, episode 13, where Professor X straight up I know you're reading my notes ahead, so he sorry,
I didn't proofread these guys. I'm so sorry.
He's Professor Charles Xavier straight up 9/11s a master mold with an SR-71 full of dynamite. And like, honestly, I'm laughing through it because I actually have a very complicated set of emotions. When I saw that, I was like, oh no. I was like, on one hand, it's very effective at destroying the towering master mold robot. And on the other hand, never forget. There's no way that would have made it to television past 2001. Yeah, no way.
Hell of an intro there, brother.
Oh, okay. Welcome to Talk About Tatooine. I'm Andrew.
I'm Nathan.
And we're twin brothers here to bring you what's new in nerddom and give colorful commentary on our favorite subjects. Welcome to our cantina. Grab a drink and settle in as we set course for realities beyond our own. That is 2 episodes in a row I have messed up the word cantina. Dang it! So stupid.
It's okay,
I have a
folks.
smooth brain.
I was waiting for you to finish it because you got derailed when we were doing our recording and absolutely just couldn't stop the flow of consciousness. And I had to tell you to shut up like 3 separate times. It's absolutely fantastic.
No ridges or lumps. No valleys or bumps.
There it is. It can't stop himself.
All ideas just slide right off.
It's like an itch that needs scratched.
Oh, okay, I don't smile this much. My face hurts.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 72. Today's recording day is May 19th, and this episode will be released tomorrow, May 20th. Today, we're going to be discussing Helldivers, Nerddom News, our lightsaber giveaway, and maybe anything we get sidetracked with. Let's begin with our starter question. Also, I shouldn't have this last bit in there that is repetitive. Who put that on the teleprompter? Okay. Andrew, go ahead and hit us with your favorite non-meta Helldiver loadout, please.
I am posting it also in the chat. I'm going to pin it. Let's see. What is your favorite non-meta Helldiver loadout?
Oh, perfect. That'll be our
question mark. Because we like to hear what you guys have to say. And we'll pin ya. Pin it, manually unpinned it, end of the stream. Here we go. So, for experienced Helldivers such as myself, I am a level 51, 52 at the moment. When I am fighting the bugs specifically, I actually really like the flamethrower. It's so fun. So, flamethrower, jetpack, orbital railguns for the biggies, and actually the 500k. The 500k is actually my second, is actually my second favorite Eagle call down. Just the regular Eagle airstrike is my favorite because you get 3 charges with it when you have it fully upgraded, that is. And that is the first thing I put all of my points into. I was like, I want those Eagle bombing runs constantly. They're so good, and I love them. But I put the 500k because the 500k, it's more fun. It is just straight up more fun than the Eagle airstrike, but I think the Eagle airstrike is better, if that makes sense.
Oh, 100%.
It's like the Top Gear meme where it's like, this is a better option, but I like this. That's exactly how I feel about the 500k, specifically against the bugs. I usually won't go off meta against the bots because the bots are a little bit more difficult. However, in maybe sort of a sadistic kind of way, I like fighting the bots more than the bugs. Very unpopular opinion.
I usually run with the same loadout almost every time with a slight tweak based on faction. So first of all, I like to run with a Punisher. Having a weapon with knockback is one of the most important things I could ever possibly have.
Is critical for the bugs. Critical.
Absolutely. So that's always key. Always have to have a shotgun. Then I always take the 500 kilogram because I think it is more fun to use than the Eagle airstrike. And what do we like to say when we drop a 500k? Praise the sun.
Praise the sun. Or when a hell bomb goes off.
Indeed. I always like railguns because railguns are... I like to imagine my ship is sniping whatever's on the ground. And I love just the quick draw from orbit, just the, all right, it's time to take her down. And we just,
just destroys anything it shoots at.
Yeah, pretty much anything is going to die other than a Bile Titan, depending on what difficulty you're on.
But it'll do a lot of damage.
It'll do a lot of damage. I always take the Quasar because being able to put down heavy fire without having to constantly pick up a new weapon or drop stuff. And they nerfed the reload time, but it's really not that bad.
No.
You can go through like a couple of shots on the Punisher, maybe throw a grenade, a stratagem, and then be like, oh, I can whip my Quasar out and then be like ready to go. The only tweak I make on my class is the shield generator for bots, but I switch that for guard dog if I'm playing bugs. Because there's too many bugs. Too many of them.
So your loadout is actually pretty close to what I would consider the meta loadout, which is against bugs. It's the guard dog, the laser version, not the ammo version. The guard dog, the quasar, the railgun, and an eagle airstrike. That's like that will give you.
So I'm pretty close to meta already.
You're pretty close to meta,
because that's the only thing that keeps me alive.
And that's why it's meta.
Helldivers, so which you guys are going to see later. It's going to be a great time.
We'll bump down the difficulty a little. We'll play 7. We won't bump it up to 8 or 9 for you because we still want those supers. But 3 is okay to come out of a mission with 3 is totally okay. And honestly, once you play like a couple 8 or 9s, you have so many supers that you're actually hungry for rares and commons, as opposed to just putting floating blobs of uranium into your backpack.
That is fair.
Which Super Earth does confirm that carrying super uranium or multiple packets of super uranium in your travel pack is not linked to causing cancer. That is false. That is enemy propaganda. There is no danger. You don't need gloves. You don't need anything. Just put it in your backpack and go. Any indications that the super uranium is similar to the Legend of the Demon Core, that's not a real thing, according to Super Earth historians. That's blasphemy. Not blasphemy. That's a Warhammer thing. That's treason. Treason.
Excellent.
I switched fandoms there for a second.
We almost lost him, folks.
Real quick, I'm going to pull up my monitor because it was dead. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know what if you're in the chat, let us know what your favorite off-meta loadout is for Helldivers. We'd love to hear from you. What am I doing? Click on my face. Yeah, I got my monitor up. Okay. Let's see. We can probably move on.
Excellent. All right, guys. So this is your obligatory like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be throwing this up on YouTube later. So have fun in the chat, guys. It's always a good time when you guys are here. And make sure to follow the podcast on Anchor, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review, please. It's super helpful for the podcast.
Thank you.
Because it basically tells other people that this is worth watching. So if you like it, leave a review. And nice things only. Don't be mean, but I mean, it's your life. So
who doesn't need another two white guys giving their opinions on a podcast? Come on.
I know, right? Big shocker. So today's mostly going to be about the news. So, and it's not news from HoloNet. It's the news from Super Earth today because we're going to be talking about Helldivers a ton. So I think you guys have all probably seen so far that Helldivers 2 is probably one of the fastest selling PS Studios games ever. I believe with over 12 million copies sold now. So quite a few. Very, very nice. Helldivers is basically killing it.
Yeah, it's the fastest selling PlayStation Studios game ever. So that's not nothing.
How did that quantify fastest selling? I'm assuming it's games over time, but what is the time?
Well, in this case, it's a few months because it came out in February and it sold 12 million copies in 3 months.
Interesting. So that would be based on the time of opening compared to other games over the similar amount of time, I guess.
Yep.
So yeah, that makes sense. We'll see what it does in the first year. That's kind of like a good metric on like how popular a game is how many copies it sells in the first year.
Or how much it retains its player base in the first year. There's been some waning in the player base so far, which is normal. A game is typically going to be most popular right when it launches. Except for Battlefront. That was really popular for about 5 minutes on launch, and then just totally tanked. They had to change like the whole thing.
Yeah, that was a bummer. Gosh.
But speaking of Battlefront and gaming controversy, Helldivers is not without.
Helldivers, where are you going with that thought, buddy?
Helldivers is not without its own drama. As you guys have probably seen, or maybe not seen, is that Sony totally kind of whiffed it as far as what they thought would be acceptable behavior. Just a reminder, Sony is the producer of Helldivers. They did not develop it. They're just the studio. They're the above level that say, hey, we're going to market your game. We're going to distribute your game. But Arrowhead Studios is the one that actually supports like bug fixes and the active games as a live service model. So Arrowhead does the actual gameplay. The dumbass corporate decisions are coming from Sony, not Arrowhead. Cuddly Axolotl in the chat, big company Sony also made Madam Web.
Coincidence? I think
not. Yeah, we can probably pretty safely say that there's not a lot of... Well, there probably is a lot of smart people working at Sony, but the people in charge of making decisions seem to not be paying attention. I still think movies like Madam Web are purposely tank because it can be a tax write-off. Similar to the musical The Producers. where you specifically make something to flop so that you can get it as a tax write-off.
That's
which is
wild.
It's so convoluted. It's like, I don't understand. Like, I do understand, but like, it's just rich people live in a completely different world. It's like, I can't do anything to get a tax write-off. And the IRS is like breathing down my neck. They're like, you still owe us 12 cents or we'll send you to jail. And I'm like, Elon Musk didn't even pay any taxes. Jeff Bezos, Amazon, none of these guys didn't pay any taxes. Yes, this is a new Mariners hat. I got this from one of the... it was the Salute to Service night about a month ago.
It was a free hat. I sold mine.
Somebody walked up to you, offered you money for it, and you're like, sure.
I said yes immediately. I wasn't even positive on what he said, but he's like, "Hey man, can I pay you for that hat?" And I was like, "Yeah." Just no hesitation. I was like, "Yeah, I don't need it."
Which made me a little mad.
So I got $5.
It made me a little mad because this hat, my wife was able to get one. I was not able to get one. And if I had known yours was up for sale, I would have bought it off of you.
Well, it wasn't. It was just like a random guy, and we made eye contact and just had this connection, you know? It was just meant to happen.
So dumb. So dumb.
You should show him the side of the hat. That makes it less cool.
Yeah, it's brought to you by Boeing, the leading experts in whistleblower disposal.
And things that don't fly well.
So,
AKA hats.
I'm actually going to rip the Boeing stitch out. We have some. My wife does some embroidery, or not embroidery, like sewing embroidery, things like that. And she's got a special pair of scissors that I'll be able to take out this stitching. I just haven't done it yet because I don't really feel like repping Boeing. I like the Mariners and I like camouflage, but I don't like Boeing. I specifically never applied there, so I work in aerospace, and I specifically never applied there. I was like, nope, not doing it.
Yeah, if we haven't said yet, this podcast does not support Boeing and its murderous ways. So,
which is not a sentence I thought we would have to say.
But yeah, not a fan.
Whew.
If I had a whistle to blow, I would. So,
don't, because you'll die. Hold on, I gotta change the QOTD, the question of the day. Question of the day. Excuse me, why did you exit out of that? Oh my gosh, I did it again. Dude, the Nightbot UI makes me want to scream sometimes. Anyway,
our
we're
chat,
back.
Fantastic. Cuddly Axolotl with as the great Flo Rida once said, "You can blow my whistle baby, you can blow my whistle baby. Here we go."
No, we're not going to do that. What we are going to do, or it's just a...
Speaking of whistles and or being blown, aka wet, Andrew's just pouring straight beam into a cup. Let's go, buddy. Cheap ass whiskey for the win.
So this is the Kentucky Straight Bourbon, not a sponsor. I really like it. As far as cheap bourbons go, like it definitely has that like drain. I call it the drain cleaner burn that some cheaper liquors have. You're like, this just tastes like pain, and it's not fun to drink. This is pretty good, and if you're going to make bourbon drinks, especially if you're going to make bourbon well drinks, like a lot of them, this bottle is cheap. This is the way to go, in my opinion.
If you're planning on mixing it, that's a great value. I'm more of a fan of the Signature Canadian blended, so that's one of my favorites.
Can you say that? What'd you say?
Kirkland Signature.
Oh, Kirkland Signature. I was like,
Kirkland Signature.
I was like, he said something dumb, and I can't tell what he's saying.
That's what I was going for. If you know what that reference is from, your back probably hurts. Make sure to take your daily dose of ibuprofen. This is
also not a sponsor.
TED Talk.
Just take ibuprofen until your liver stops working. Wild Turkey 101, boys. I love Wild Turkey. Wild Turkey, Buffalo Trace, some of my favorite bourbons.
Wild Turkey makes a good American honey as well. Very tasty. Anyways, another piece of news we have is a little bit of an ethical dilemma, which has been posed over on Reddit. So, per an article from n4g.com, the author poses an ethical dilemma in which a Redditor poses the question. Author poses, Redditor poses. Yeah. Anyways, somebody on Reddit was like, hey, is it okay to kick people from your lobby due to skill issues? Andrew, I want you to answer this in the most inflammatory way you can possibly think of and tell our listeners why they're wrong and gaslight them into oblivion, please. I'm just kidding. Please give us your honest and thoughtful review of this.
Oh my gosh, who hurt you?
Most likely you.
So,
I was thinking physically, not emotionally.
Well, let's be honest. So I will preface, I do not think it's okay to kick somebody out of the lobby if they pick an off-meta loadout. That's not an okay reason to kick somebody. That almost happened to me a couple days ago where I joined into a lobby and the personal order was to get kills with the 110 millimeter barrage. So I equipped the 110 millimeter barrage, and the guy immediately comes on the public chat and he's like, hey, don't use the barrage. It's not going to be good for this mission. And I didn't respond. But my first two thoughts were, don't tell me how to live my life.
Yeah, okay, this is America.
I was like, first off, the audacity. I was like, I'm going to do what I want. Don't tell me how to live my life. I was like, two, it's the personal order. How do you expect me to complete this order if I don't use it? Also, I was the best performing player. I died the least, got the most kills, and I still crushed it with basically being down a stratagem. Because you're right, I don't like the barrage, but they told me to use it, so I used it.
Yep, absolutely.
That being said, for skill issues, I think so in this specific article, the question was, Nightbot is blowing up the chat. I need to fix those timers. So the question was posed like, hey, like a random joined my lobby and they burned through our entire reinforcement budget like in 10 minutes in a 40-minute match. First up, they're bad. Yeah, kick them. Because if a person is actively not skilled enough or lacking skill to be a detriment to the completion of the mission, they have to go. Kick them out. Hopefully they can figure it out on their own, and they need to be the ones to go on a lower difficulty, because what they're doing is they're basically making you carry them, saying, I want the samples, I want the experience, but I'm not going to help you because I suck.
Yeah,
that's what's happening. And that's pretty brutal, if I'm being honest, because like when you're playing with your friends or if you're just playing with randoms, yeah, there is going to be a disparity in skill level, and it's a little hard because sometimes you can come off as a jerk if like be like, oh dude, like you died too often so I kicked you. It's really subjective. In this case, in the specific example of the article, this person burned through their entire reinforcement budget to the point where like he couldn't get called back in. That's a no-brainer. That's so far to one end of the spectrum as far as like skill level that I'm like, okay, you're kind of just, I'm like, you're posing this question online to be like it's the am I an asshole question where people just try to justify their own actions. That's all that channel is, or subreddit, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little dumb, but in the case of where like I've been kicked where I've accidentally killed my teammates, which happens all the time, constantly, really it happens all the time. You have to be okay with getting killed by your teammates probably once a game. I would say at least once a game. It happens. It just happens. I do it to you all the time. You do it to me all the time.
Oh yeah, I get killed all the time. It's just part of the field.
Yeah, and like that's sort of like that's intentional game design. Is that like friendly fire is on Like even in the basic training, you get stabbed, shot at, attacked by a Terminid. And if you don't actually dive in the basic training or the tutorial, you just get killed by turrets. Like, the game is setting a precedent pretty quick that they're like, this is going to be part of your gaming experience. Put on your diaper, kind of thing.
Yup.
Or graduate from your diaper. Put on your pull-ups, and let's do this. That being said, of course, the internet is full of human monsters, and there's going to be opportunities all the time where people get kicked for stupid reasons.
100%.
And it just takes a little bit of, like, this is already kind of a subjective discussion, like, where is the line? And I can't really draw it for you. Like, it's a big gray area in a game that has tons and tons of friendly fire.
A lot of friendly fire. So much. And
I don't really agree with the people who, like, go online and be like, this was my experience. Because, like, anytime I've ever kicked somebody from a Helldiver game, which is often because they fill up so fast that if you want to play with a friend, you have to kick somebody.
Yeah, you're like, sorry, dude.
That's like 90% of my kicks is like, okay, dude, I need to make room for someone I actually know. And you don't send them a message. You just kick them. Like, just rip the Band-Aid off. They'll find another game just fine.
They'll be okay.
So it's a gray area. Do you have anything to add? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this discussion about
so when it comes to kicking people, like, I feel like there should be at least some sort of, like, good manners that goes into it.
Yep.
I think one of our biggest things is that, like, you should do everything that you can to not be just, like, straight up a dick to somebody. Like, that's not okay. Like, if you're like, oh my gosh, you're terrible, blah, 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 trash talking this person, then you kick them. I'm like, hey, that's done in bad spirits.
Yep.
But if you're like, if somebody's playing poorly, first of all, you can always tell them, like, hey, stick with us as much as you can. Like, try to intervene before they use all of it. But if you notice this person's just, like, dying every 60 seconds and you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to lose this. Like, if somebody's playing just super poorly and you can't get anything done, it's like, yeah, man, send them. Like, it's at the end of the day, I've heard this actually argument when I was reading through the Reddit post. I've heard this argument for and against. Some people are like, oh, it's just a game, you should be okay with losing. And I'm like, it's also just a game. You should be okay with getting kicked and just, like, rejoining a match, or, like, know where your own skill level is. Like,
that's a big part of it.
So that argument goes both ways.
It really does.
But at the same time, I'm also like, you shouldn't just tell people, like, wow, you're terrible, we're going to kick you now. It's like, just kick them. Like, they're gonna get the message. Like, it's easier that way. So
yeah, if you're specifically going into either the text chat or the voice chat to tell someone how bad they are before kicking them, you're a dick, and you should be reported. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, at that point, it just comes off as malicious behavior.
It is.
And it's like they're hopefully also trying to enjoy the game. Hopefully this is not also a person who is ruining all of your lives because they think that's fun. Now, if they have .tv next to their username, maybe it is them being fun. I don't know. Or .ttv.
TTV.
My bad. But it could be one of those things. I'm not saying that's what happens, or if that has ever happened, I don't know. But I think, like, kicking people is fine. I'm not super worried about it, but also, like, I think kicking somebody just because they have a different loadout is, like, definitely not okay. If they're like, oh, I'm going to use this, and like you were saying, you're like, hey, I need this for the daily mission, and they're like, actually, we're going to kick you if you don't, like, pick a meta loadout. You're like, oh, so you're a sweat and you need to chill. I'm going to do something else. Like, that's like, people are out there, and that's crazy. Like, and personally, I would be okay with getting kicked from a lobby like that because I wouldn't want to play with those people anyway. They're probably competitive to the point where it's not fun. Yeah,
there's that is definitely a real thing. I've definitely met a lot of people in my life that are so competitive. It's like, I don't want to play with you anymore. I don't want to play any sort of game, sport, video game, doesn't matter. I was like, all right, we're done here. I'm going to take my ball and go home because you're not fun to be around.
Yeah, this is where we cut to the scene in Toy Story where Andy says, "I'm done playing with you," and he drops Woody into the bottomless toy chest. So that's essentially what's happening here. Moving on to our next point, a couple of weeks ago, we saw that Sony was starting to kind of be a dick, and they were like, "Hey, you guys need a player account." Kinda. That's they were being dicks. So Sony was like, "Hey, you need to have a PlayStation account," which at first I did not respond to this properly because I was like, whatever, they want my email, like they can go ahead and have it. I do not care. And then like I started realizing two things. One, Sony's terrible about data leaks. They are a diaper that is not fully on the bottom of this game, and they're just leaking everywhere. So So Sony is not good with data, and that was a big issue for some people. And I was like, okay, I totally get that. I don't give a shit about my email address being out there. I'm like, whatever. So that's fine. But the bigger one, which I think this actually really strikes at like something we hold dear as like kind of behind the vision of the podcast, was this blocked 177 countries from having access to the game completely. Like once they rolled that out, they were like, yeah, you don't have access to this. Some of those restrictions have been lifted. And I'm talking some of them from last I checked, which was literally like maybe 45 minutes ago in between podcast recordings. Like 6 of those countries have come back online. Yeah. And most of those are places like American Samoa and countries that are actually like annexations of the US, not really anybody else.
Okay, so, first off, why is Samoa even on that list anyway?
Great question. Don't know.
It's like, why?
Yeah, it's wild.
I don't get it.
Most of them have not been like there. We just haven't seen a full restitution of everyone's accounts, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and we're in a day and age where internet access is seen as more and more an actual right, not a privilege.
Some countries actually do consider internet access a right, a human right, because the entire world runs on the internet now.
Yes.
And to exclude somebody from the internet is essentially saying we want to exclude you from having any sort of social or economic opportunity. So suck a dick, no internet for you. That's essentially what that's saying.
Yeah. And so, and I understand some countries like North Korea, for example, being on this list. Even though there was literally one active Helldiver player in North Korea. It was Kim Jong-un. Of course it was. Like, it's like he's probably the only one who has an internet access without a bajillion filters. But it's like, I understand that because at that point it's sort of like a sanction, not just like, oh, these are the countries we're not going to do business with. But it's like, Sony, you're a company, not a country. Like, it is not really your job to say that the people of certain countries shouldn't get to access your video game because the government of those countries is bad. Like,
it's not great.
It doesn't, and that's not a very American foreign policy, because that's not really how we've done things. Like, we, as Americans, we kind of have no problem saying, oh, if the Russian government is evil, we're going to make the Russian citizens pay too. It's like, okay, well, that's going to make them pissed at us, and they're going to, it's like, yeah, we're not great at winning the war of public approval in and outside of our borders. I'll just put it that way. I'm very aware of what the rest of the world thinks about us.
Yeah, for sure.
But Sony, at this point, even though they have said that, okay, you're not gonna need your PlayStation account to access Helldivers, they've still taken away Helldivers access to people in these countries. So effectively, they have made no change, even though they have said we are backing off of this statement. In reality, they have done no such thing.
Right.
And so it's a little frustrating to say people, because a lot of the Helldivers community, they post on social media in character, so they'll be like, oh, we're waving the flag of democracy because we won. Like, it's like, but we didn't. We didn't, though. Like, nothing has changed. Right direction
to back to normal, but we are still net negative.
Yes. Like, there are still people who bought the game who are living in these other countries, and unless they have a really good VPN, are not able to play.
Yeah, which is pretty ridiculous, honestly.
It's insane. It's totally insane. It's because it's like you let them buy it in the first place. That should, if you really wanted to restrict people's access to the game, that should have been a feature, or not really a feature. I wouldn't call it a feature, but that should have been a part of the game from the very beginning. Be like, you're in this country, we can't sell you this game. And every way you look at it, Sony has completely bungled this.
100%.
To what I would call a strong candidate for Game of the Year. And like the ripples from Helldivers 2, we're going to see the influence of this game for years to come. Honest to goodness, Helldivers 2 is the new Fortnite. As far as its influence on games in the future.
I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but it does have a strong influence for sure.
If Helldivers was free to play, it would be a 1-to-1 comparison, in my opinion.
For sure.
But it's only
what a bold claim Cutley Axolotl says. I'm like, I think that's pretty bold, but I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs barking in the background. The wife just got home from riding the ponies. So,
Mom, you smell like a horse.
That's him talking in the voice of my dog, not actually saying my wife smells like a horse, even though she probably does. But anyways, when Helldivers puts a karaoke minigame, maybe we can talk. Oh, all right. That's true. So there's
they have the Stratagem Master arcade game.
They have arcade games for sure. There's some continuing rumor mill spinning around that Xbox reinforcements are bound for Helldivers. You have strong opinions on this.
I have very strong opinions on this.
The conspiracy theory, don your tinfoil hats, is that because Helldivers added a reinforce stratagem where it was something where you can add either players in, or I was reading this all in between episodes, so sorry if I'm totally butchering this. You can either add players in or call down NPCs to fight with you. I think it's call down NPCs. It's something like that.
Is this something they're going to implement later?
Potentially.
Okay.
So it was there's a call in reinforcements stratagem. Maybe they'll do that IRL too. So we'll see. Probably not, considering Sony can't get their shit together. So
nope.
What do you have to say on that, Andrew?
I actually just realized something. Wait, never mind. Riverside's not outputting my own voice, so I was like, am I hearing my own voice twice? I shouldn't be. No. I do have... I'm going to really poop on your party here, bud.
Go away. Go ahead.
So,
I already read it.
Based on how tone-deaf Sony has been lately, it's really unlikely that we will see Helldivers 2 come to Xbox unless Microsoft shells out a lot of money. I'm talking a huge cut of earnings, higher than normal, would go to Sony, and then we would also see, if it ever did come to Xbox, which I'm not saying it will, that it would probably be even higher than the normal $40 MSRP price. I think... Oh, what's up, Obihave? Nice to see ya. I think if Helldivers ever came to Xbox, we would see it probably at $55 or $60. There's no way. There's no way.
That would be pretty tough to do.
And as far as a technical hurdle, using Warhammer 40k Darktide as an example, it's not super simple to port a game from PC or even PlayStation over to Xbox and vice versa. Darktide was originally developed for the Xbox console in conjunction with PC, and it still launched over a year late. If Helldivers was developed without the intentions of being put on the Xbox, it will never be ported over, period. Because there's so many design steps that you have to take when a game is in development for the operating system you're going to put it on, that like if they didn't take those things into account, there's probably so much work that would need to go into porting it over to Xbox that it will never ever happen.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just I'm continuing to see rumors start to spill.
I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong.
That's fair. That's fair. We also have some non-Helldiver news coming up as well here, guys. So just to give you guys a quick roadmap, we'll finish out with some news points, talk about how much we love our patrons, and then we're going to hop into some actual Helldivers too.
Let's go.
It's going to be a fantastic time. So in Star Wars news, we got an additional sneak peek trailer, a little bit shorter than the first one, of the Acolyte, where we get to see Vernestra Rowe using her light whip.
Oh, this so cool.
So cool. I think people want to see more exotic weapons when they are talking about Star Wars. We saw this in Legends with, I believe, Mara Jade. Is that correct?
It's either Mara Jade, Aura Singh, or someone else. Like, it's weird.
Aura Singh, I think, had one too.
But she had a light whip, which really confused me because I was like, she's a bounty hunter. Why does she have a light whip? Yeah, but she might have had
cool.
Because it's cool. You don't need a better reason. Half of Star Wars is just the rule of cool. George Lucas is like, well, what about laser swords? And everyone was like, that's a really good idea.
And now he's like, yeah, I know.
Give me some money. I'll take $3 billion. That's such a garbage George Lucas impression.
Laser whip would be so dope. Obi says, cuddly axolotl. Jar Jar is the key to all of this. You know, he unfortunately is. Lego's on the right track with this. If you guys don't know, well, Darth Jar Jar is an alternate version Lego universe character. So yeah, that's about where we're at with this.
Yeah, so it's like literally my childhood come to life, like seeing the light whip. And also purple is the best lightsaber color. It makes me laugh so hard. So Samuel L. Jackson literally created the best piece of lightsaber lore because he just wanted his own version because he was being a goofball. And like, if you haven't actually seen the clip of Mr. Jackson talking to George Lucas, you can tell who really had the authority in this conversation, because like George Lucas is talking to Samuel L. Jackson. He's like, the colors you get are green or blue. And Samuel L. Jackson is like, nah, purple. And he goes, well, I don't know. And he's like, let's do purple. And George Lucas is like, okay.
Yeah, he really didn't. And now we get purple. Like, are you going to say no to Samuel L. Jackson? Ooh. Absolutely not.
But like from there, then we see more lightsaber colors come into play. Like there were other lightsaber colors in canon, like Corran Horn had a silver/white lightsaber well before Ahsoka ever had one. The Temple Guards, I think, still had yellow. The Jedi Sentinels, which was a class of Jedi, had yellow lightsabers too. Orange meant something. I wasn't really sure. I totally kind of forgot. But now we're actually seeing these colors on the television. These things were only ever in the books and comics and some of the games. And now we're seeing them in canon. And it's awesome. And I love it.
It's absolutely fantastic.
I like shiny things.
Which Star Wars is also, like, if you guys don't know this, Star Wars is also fundamentally about selling merchandise. What is cooler than expanding your merchandise pool of toys and all those other things? So you should really have that. Ooh, I think it was a missed opportunity, Cuddly Axolotl says, for Kylo Ren to not purify his lightsaber to white in episode 9 would have been so dope. Yeah, easy symbolism, 10 out of 10, would recommend. 100%.
Slam dunk. That would have been slam dunk. If he like purified it in such a way, because like we see like his lightsaber is like really jagged. It has the crossguard on the side, which is literally because it's overflowing with too much energy. If he had purified it to white and we saw the crossguard actually sink back into to the hilt, we would have like, that would have been really, really cool. But instead he just gets someone else's lightsaber. Was it his mom's lightsaber, or was it literally just Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber again?
Yeah, he just gets handed the family lightsaber, the 3000. That's pretty much it.
They're like, yes, a hero's weapon. And the people who know are like,
Do you know what
PTSD?
happened with that? Also, Cuddly says
I think
it
it's
would have
aliens,
given all
yeah.
of us a partial, so it would have been a win-win. I'm like, nah, it would have been full mast. Don't worry.
I need everyone to know I have an erection.
Instead, he just throws it off a cliff. Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. I feel like that would have been a cool thing for him to keep around. You know, it's like a memento, or a, hey, maybe if I just want to. Maybe me and the dark side broke up, and we want to get back together for a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the people who are throwing lightsabers off of cliffs. I'm like, those are not everywhere. Stop throwing them away. It's like if you're done using it, put it away or something. Don't throw it over a cliff.
Yeah, maybe lock it in a box and like put a mysterious note with it. I don't know. There's better ways to deal with that.
Anyway, of course, anytime we start talking Star Wars, we start talking about how absolutely ridiculous the sequels were. I saw a honestly though, why are we keeping the Child Killer 2000? Dude, like, so objects canonically, objects become imbued with the dark or light side of the Force based on what you use them for. Like, I don't know, the weird Sith dagger that shows up in episode 9. Can you hear my dryer in the background?
I can hear your dryer, yeah. I would have ignored it, but you started dancing, so please don't ever do that again.
Like, that lightsaber would absolutely... There's no other word for it. It would be haunted as fuck.
Yeah. And we love a good Force haunting. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every time he turns his lightsaber on, it's the screams of 1,000 younglings. Like,
it's like, oh, did you hear that? It's like, what the frick? Hey, welcome to the chat, Combrew.
Good to have you. Little.
Oh, we're so dumb. Anyway,
I just can't help it. Anyways, Andrew,
we have to move on to the next point.
Yeah, hit us with that 40K news. So,
if you guys don't follow the 40K Twitch channel, which that's fine, it's kind of boring, honestly. New codexes are coming to Warhammer 40K. We just saw the pre-order for the Orcs not too long ago, and Chaos Space Marines is on pre-order now. However, in this weekend's grand open, we saw the announcement of the Adepta Sororitas and the Gene Stealer Cults Codex.
How did you say that?
Adepta Sororitas? Sororitas.
Like a sorority.
Surely. Can you say it one more time?
Adepta
Sororitas. Combrew in the chat's just like, look at this dumbass.
When in doubt, just say...
It's pronounced Dumas.
When in doubt, just be like nuns with guns.
Nuns with guns. The Sisters of Battle.
Dummy mummies.
At least I didn't call them the Adeptus Sofritas.
The Sisters of the Bean. Sorry, no, that's...
Nope. Not Sofritos. Sofritos. Never mind.
He's losing it, guys. Oh, dude. Anyways, what's actually happening with these factions?
They're getting their books, and they're getting new box sets. Which
Sisters of Feet Pics.
Chat's
coming in strong.
Chat is like, we're going to feed off of this Slaneshi energy. So I was actually just thinking earlier today, I was like, you know what? If the entire internet fell to chaos, 99% of it would fall to Slanesh.
Oh, 100%.
I think people would love to think that they're like, oh, no, I would totally fall for corner. Oh, no, I'm pretty gross. I never shower. I would go to Nurgle. It's like, no, most of you are perverts.
Yeah, you're all too horny for your own good. Everyone belongs to the same chaos deity.
Slanesh would be like, yes, my ranks are swelling. Amongst other things.
Okay, cool.
Oh my God.
Have I mentioned how much I love our patrons? Because that's what it's going to take to get out of this very deep hole.
Don't say hole.
I couldn't help myself. I had to exit with one more. Guys, big thanks to our top patrons, Mike, Isaac, David, and best Twitch supporter, the Calm Brew, who is also a moderator and currently in chat. We love you guys so much. So, honestly, guys, we have a couple of things going on. One of our biggest ones is our lightsaber giveaway. Now, I am holding the raffle bucket or raffle jar. We have lots of stuff here. So, very, very excited about all this, guys. If you guys want to enter to win a lightsaber, which is a high quality ultra saber, which is a combat rated one, so you can actually
you can hit stuff. Your friends with it.
Yeah. So
I have one. I love it.
High quality lightsabers.
I often use it as a flashlight.
It's very, very fun. So make sure you guys support us, because every time you guys support the channel, not only are you feeding into more high quality content, more giveaways, game servers, and lifetime access to the Discord, man, every single patron support, subscriber, prime sub, whatever it is, gets you a ticket into our jar that we are going to draw in August. And there's a lot in here. We just added 4 more.
Nice.
Because one of our lovely subscribers also bought a bunch of stuff from our Etsy page. Now, if you guys buy stuff from our Etsy page, it is 2 raffle tickets per purchase, because you're probably spending a little bit more money. So you not only get the item that goes with it, but you also get 2 raffle tickets instead of 1. So highly recommend that. We just put out our pre-order for the Dune Don't Tread on Me sticker, which it's a don't tread rhythmically. So it's a play on the don't tread on me, because we're not going to go down that, because this is not a politics podcast.
This is not a political podcast.
If we're going to talk about politics, we're going to talk about the galactic politics and influence of Jar Jar Binks. So that's what we're going to do about that. But basically, we love you guys. Thank you guys for your constant support.
For sure.
And we hope to get more of that, because we want this to be a really, really good giveaway. We actually do this giveaway every year. So super excited about that. Even Comber's like, I'm back in it with the Darth Jar Jar. Everyone here is about Darth Jar Jar. Fantastic.
And guys,
Andrew, do you have anything to add?
I have nothing more to add. We're going to go straight into some Helldivers gameplay, so stick around.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Nathan, if you wouldn't mind joining a Discord call, let's get the show on the road.